I'm going to move right along because this is exciting. As you know, and many of you have met my wife, even though you don't know you met my wife, will embarrass her like tomorrow. But she's the one who checked you in and everything. She has said to me for years, you know, darling, you must have lots of women speakers. Because if you don't have women speakers, the women will crucify you. They don't give a crap about Peter Hockenville. They want to hear from women speakers. So I always have tons of really wonderful women speakers. And Stephanie comes back year after year because she's a star. So now, this is the thing you all know I hate to do. And my speakers make it shorter and shorter every year because I get more and more old. So, but all right, I just really like her. That's important. My next speaker's client list includes a who's who list of experts, including Olympic athletes, speakers, authors, Oprah show guests, and even Starbucks CEO. That's pretty cool. Lexus Europe, and more. She does two main things for them. Either creates a digital product line for them where they make tons of money. I like that. Money's good. Or she creates a multimedia marketing campaign for them. It's hard to say. Multimedia marketing campaign for them that puts their products in front of millions of people. And then they make a ton of money. Do you get where we're going on this? Make a ton of money.
Oh, yeah.
Her specialty has been finding unknown people with something great to teach the world. We have a few people like that here. Package and market their knowledge online. The result is a six-figure or millionaire status in 1 to 3 years from scratch. Please welcome, give an author one-on-one welcome, the amazing Stephanie Hartman. Woo!
Thank you so much. All right. Hello. How are you? Good, good, good. How many people here have a book? Okay, great. How many people here have a bestseller?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And how many people here have a product that their book sells? Wow. Okay, good, good, good. Well, that's what we're going to talk about today, is the importance of having a core product. And by the way, your core product is not your book. Okay? Everybody get that so far? You'll get that a little bit later. All right. And I started out about, well, over 10 years ago, and I started working with a unknown guy. He had no website, he had no product, he had no branding, and no book. And his name was T. Harv Eker. I don't believe in coincidences, and this name has come up a couple of times. And so I helped him, you know, put his product line together and everything, even his media stuff, and even helped him come up with his tagline, give me 5 minutes and I can predict your financial future. And that just came out of a conversation about when he came up to me at one of his seminars and said, you know, these people come in my seminars all the time and I can tell who's actually going to be successful and who's not. They're just going to keep doing the same thing that they're doing. And he says, in 5 minutes, I can figure that out. And so that's where we came up with that on the spot. So I was really excited to work with him, and now he's, I don't know if you noticed, but his company is downstairs doing a presentation. So no coincidences. And then from there, I worked behind the scenes with a lot of famous speakers and authors and helping them build their business. And I found, whether they were new or whether they were seasoned, that there could have been just a slight tweak in either their strategy, what they were doing, or their presentation or something, or even in the process of their business, like Peter was talking about, which was great. And that makes such a dramatic difference in their income. So today, what we're going to talk about is one of my favorite topics, is stop trading your time for money. Okay, because one of the main things I do with the people that I work with is build your business in a way that leverages everything that you do. So if you do something once, you can leverage it in different ways, right? Because even with Harv, I found in the beginning, he was making like a ton of money in his business, but he represented himself as, I'm the only one that you can learn this from. And then we changed that to, no, it's the Millionaire Mind system, so he could have other people in places. Because, there's no point in building a huge business that is successful if you're exhausted and you're running around the country all the time and doing all that. So everything that I work with is either low-cost or no-cost strategies to market and how to leverage yourself so that you can stop trading your time for money. Sound good? All right. I see this little guy here in the coffee mug, just happy in his own little world. Okay. I find that most people are closer than they think to making a dramatic difference in their business. Again, whether they're new or whether they're seasoned. I've worked with some people that had no website, no product, all of that, and became multimillionaires. It's just a tiny little differences that can make a huge difference in your life. And sometimes it's a client will come to me and I look at what they're doing and they have a great product, but they're actually not marketing it to the right audience. It's the target market that is wrong. And they're trying to go after an audience that everybody else is going after. And yet there's this other audience over here that would love their stuff. And if they just change a title or something and start marketing to them, have you guys read Blue Ocean Strategy? Yeah, it's like that, right? They're the only ones talking to them. Sometimes it is their product. I don't, sometimes I had someone actually fairly well known that said, I really need your help marketing this product. But I look at the product and no one but the person who created it actually understood what the product was, right? So we had to do some tweaking on the presentation. So I find that, and sometimes it's your process in your business. So you could be missing one step. So one of the reasons why I think one of the main reasons why I don't think people are where they need to be is because they may lack the right information. Now, working behind the scenes for 10 years, and as a consultant, I also executed a lot of the plans I came up with. So you learn a lot of little things along the way, right? And I was in the privileged position where, because I was working with these seasoned guys, they had to tell me, I was kind of like a doctor, they had to tell me the truth of what was working, what was not working, and everything. So it was a very valuable position to be because I got to really see how they made money, how their business ran, and was able to, pull different pieces together for my clients, which I can tell you now. And, lacking the right info is a huge key, but it's a simple fix, which is good news. One of my clients, Eric Lawfoam, you may have heard of him, he teaches sales training. And that's actually his product is sales. And he does seminar presentations and stage presentations, and he can sell out the room, okay? But he was having trouble selling on teleseminars. Do you guys know what teleseminars are? Okay, great. He was having trouble selling on teleseminars. In fact, it got so bad that he actually gave up. And he just set his website address at the end of the call and just hoped people would go there. But it was really hard for him, right? And because he was successful in the other areas. So I was actually contacted me because I was actually contacted by a speaker that had guest speakers 3 times a month on his Power Hour calls, where speakers would come on the phone, they would talk for an hour, then they would sell in the last 15 minutes. He wanted to know, Steph, can you tell me who's actually going to make money and who isn't, right? Because he wanted to keep booking those speakers, right? Because he gets a percentage. So I did. So I actually listened to the calls and I wrote down time code. That's because I used to work in TV. So I wrote down time code of when I thought they literally lost, they figuratively lost the audience, right? And because television and is a different medium, radio is a different medium, selling over the phone is a different medium. So you have to close the technology gap. Because when people come to a seminar, they're invested in the process. They want you to be good, right? They've reserved the hotel room, they've driven up here. If they're in the front row, they're probably not going to walk out in the middle. But if you're selling on the phone, right, they could be doing their laundry list, they could be hanging up, they could be not really active listening. So I figured this out, and then I went to Ken, the guy that hired me for this, and I said, well, here's the time code. Well, he actually took that and looked at the recording times of the call, and he found that people actually hung up on those times. I was shocked, because I thought they just figuratively lost the audience, but they did. So I actually put together a structure of how to, keep people in active listening mode, keep them till the end of the call, and keep them interested, and how to sort of sell from the beginning so that by the time you get to the end, you're just kind of giving them the logistics. They're already in. So I put this structure together, and I taught it to Eric. It took me 1 hour to teach him the structure. And then I listened to his call a little bit, and I gave him some more feedback. 1 hour. He went from 0 to over $500,000 in products from teleseminars alone in 7 months. And I didn't change his content at all. I didn't change his product at all. All we did is basically take his content and lay it over the structure that I created. You see how that 1 hour or just a little bit of the right information can make a huge difference in your business. The other one is I think people have too much information in front of them, and you get paralyzed, right? And you guys feel that sometimes? Yeah. And in fact, I was talking about this with a friend of mine, and he said, well, I know why. It's because 10,000 years ago, when a saber-toothed tiger came up to us, we had two choices, run or fight. Right? But today, if a saber-toothed tiger came up, you're like, do I tase him? Do I drop a bomb on him? Should I shoot him? Should I, all these things. And by the time you try to figure it out, well, you're eaten, right? Yeah, so sometimes I think we have too much information. So I really like to simplify things for the people that I work with, and you'll learn a little bit about that today. And clarify. You don't have to do all the things. You just have to strategically do the things that'll be right for you, your personality, your strengths, and then you'll be in great shape. All right. How many people here would like financial security? And I don't mean I want $1 million in 3 months. I mean, maybe you do. But security, right? Where you know that you have a really strong business, like Peter was talking about, that's going to make you money and grow every month. That's really important to design your business that way. The power to pick the day, circle it on your calendar, and know you're going to make money. Yeah, you can do that with launches you do or partnerships that you create, teleseminars that you do, and stop working long hours. How many people would love to do that? Yeah, I find entrepreneurs think that they need to do everything themselves. That's like, the restaurant owner cooking, cleaning, seating people. You just can't do it. So I do some processes with people that I work with, and we find out, number one, who is the best client for you? Possibly not the clients you actually have right now, but who's the best client for you? Let's figure out how to duplicate them. And then secondly, what are your strengths? What do you love to do? And then we can outsource or we can change your business so that it's around your strengths, so that it feels easy for you. Sound good? Yeah. Create automated marketing and automated revenue. I love this. This is my favorite part of what I do because that's so exciting when you can see that happening, and that happens with the financial security. And use your life to help or heal others. Yes? Yeah. And clarity on how to do this. Would you guys like that? Okay, great. All right, well, today we're going to talk about how to monetize, which is usually either your life or your business information. So it could be parenting, it could be health, maybe you've gone through an incredible experience that people can learn from, or it could be business, anything like that, and turn it into ongoing revenue. I'm going to show you that creating cash flow is not difficult when you have the right information. So I'm going to give you some quick little examples. We're going to talk about how to stop trading time for money throughout and give you real case studies. Do you like that? Because I find that you can learn through stories and examples, so I love that. And I picked people who started from scratch. We're going to tell you how to, where to start so that you can eliminate the confusion. All right, first what I want to do is just show you the market and the opportunity. Just so you're aware, just in case you have any doubts, will anyone buy my product? The movie industry, right? You hear about Julia Roberts and her multi-million-dollar contracts and all of these movie stars. Well, the movie industry is quite big, and last year, they had over $10 billion in revenue. Huge, right? Book sales in 2010, 30 billion. It's a bigger industry. Did you know that? Yeah. Here's what I'm excited about. E-commerce sales. Almost $200 billion in a year. That was last year, right? And everyone's talking about, oh, the recession, all this stuff. Don't believe it. In this industry, it's like when people are struggling and they need help, that's actually when they're buying and they're looking for things. When everything is great, they may not be. Make sense? Yeah, so keep that in mind. So e-commerce is everything from your e-books to your products and your services if you're selling them online. And an example of that is this is one of my clients, and he's known as the Wallet Doctor now. His name is Dr. Scott Brown. He came to me, he had one of the rarest PhDs in the country, about 100 people have them. He was a professor at a University of Puerto Rico. He taught finance. In fact, he actually put the finance program together. And he came to me and he said, you know, I don't know if I have an expertise. Like, what? But this is the thing, you know, oftentimes you have an expertise, but you don't value it or you can't see it because you're kind of in the space. Make sense? Yeah. So he came to me. He had no website. He had nothing, like brand new. And in fact, he was skeptical of this industry because he'd bought some things before and he wasn't happy. And it was finally his wife that listened to me in a call and said, oh yes, go with her, go with her. So I love the wife there. But I worked with him and we just packaged up his information. So I gave him a simple system to figure out what his inner genius was, what were the pieces that were really great for him. We packaged that up and we sold it. In the first year, he created a self-published book. That book actually got picked up. And the Oxford Club invited him to go speak. How many people know about the Oxford Club?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like the shishi financial company. And he made $300,000 in his first year. And he was so excited because his main reason for doing this is because he had been working in the university for years and he loved teaching. He loved working with the students. But he was tired of the politics that started happening, you know, around the university. So it wasn't like a good environment for him anymore. And his wife was working at the bank and she wanted to retire. So he really wanted to do it for her, right, to get her out of that job. So in the first year, he made $300,000. And the first thing he talked to me about was not that his wife, you know, was able to give up her job, but that he got to put in this huge steam shower in his house. He was super excited about that. I'm like, well, what about your wife? Oh, yeah, she quit her job, yeah. So I thought, okay, well, you know. And then a year later, he sold over $1 million worth of products. And in fact, even when he was in the Oxford Club, he was there doing the deal, he was phoning me from the back room and saying, they want me to be one of their faculty on here, and they're going to, you know, send me around the world, and I'm going to teach, and what should I, you know, is there anything I should avoid or say in the contract? And I'm not a lawyer, you know, go to Peter for that, but I said, make sure you protect your own intellectual property, because if you can sell your stuff and sell your stuff under their brand as well, that would be even better for you. And they agreed, right? So just having the right information. Now, he did this during the recession. He actually did this financial product on stocks and trading when people were getting arrested. You remember that a few years ago? Yeah, when people were getting arrested, you know, for being in this industry. So you would think that a lot of the people would stay away from financial products, but they didn't. So I want to give you that example, not only because he's a guy who started from scratch and he didn't know what his expertise was, but it was very obvious to me, and he did it during the recession, okay? So don't let anything stop you. I find there's a common barrier to success for people learning this industry because I think most of us were taught the wrong way to make money. And maybe not the wrong way to make money, but the only way, right? Go to school, get a degree, get a job, okay? Well, that's great for a lot of people. We need people that have jobs, right? However, if you have an entrepreneurial spirit, then you might be feeling like there's more for you to do in life, right? And the problem is when you work for a job, you trade your time for money. right? So you can't make more money unless you put in more time. And there's only so much time you can put in, right? And, or if you try to work overtime, then you don't have any time for family or friends or any of those things. So it's not like a great way. The other way is trading your value for money, which is your expertise, your core genius. This is trading your value for money, which I call the worth revenue model, because are you earning what you're worth right now, right? And your information, your systems are worth huge for people. And by the way, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room to have something of worth. You just have to know more than the people you're selling to. So if you go through an experience, like one of my clients is a breast cancer survivor, right? And she said, I don't want one woman to go through what I went through without having this knowledge, okay? So she put a program together just for them, right? So how do you figure out your worth? We'll talk about that in a second. But first thing I want to talk about is, I just want to show you a little bit of the math, because it's the information that you produce that is valuable, not the packaging. This is why you can have a course that's 2 days for 10 grand or 5 grand. And here's a $99 ebook. If you just sell 6 a day, that's $20,000 a month. If you sell a $4.95 DVD and you sell, 4 a week, that's $8,000 a month. That's way better, right? So if you can make $5,000 in an hour on a teleseminar or something, it's a way better use of your time than working 40 hours a week for a month to do the same. So you have huge profit margins in this industry. So find your value. Okay, first thing that I look at with everybody is I look at the whole person. You are not your job. You may want to write that down, okay? Because we go through life thinking we are our jobs, right? But the truth is you lend yourself to your job. Look at your whole self. This is when I have someone coming up to me going, I'm an accountant for 20 years. Do I have to come up with an accounting product? Yes or no, right? Depends. Well, did you find a system that works better or something you'd like to teach them? Then yes. And if you love that, then yes. But if it's not, let's find out about you. And there was an accountant that became a food critic. And, so really look at your whole self. What do you know that could help someone else if they knew it? What do you know that could help someone else if they just knew it? Any life lessons that you've learned? Any life lessons that you've learned? I'm doing a product line with Howard Behar, the ex-CEO of Starbucks. And what he's doing is we're creating a leadership program. He really wants to help kids. So he's not teaching how to build a huge multi-million-dollar multinational company, but he's talking about life lessons and life skills and stuff. So look at your whole self, what you love. What is the 3 a.m. problem that your clients have? What keeps them up at night that you could solve? What's the 3 a.m. problem that your clients have? Here's a good one. What is common sense to you and you just can't believe people don't know this? That could be your inner genius, right? So next time, don't get mad. Just create a product for it. What do people tell you that you're good at, but yet you dismiss it? Have you ever done that? Yeah. What comes natural to you? What comes natural to you? Okay? These are great questions to ask to start to figure out what your inner genius is. Because I think the worst place to be is to think about a product that you're going to create going, what will make money? Please don't create your products from that point of view. Yes, we want you to make a lot of money. You have to. You're creating a business, right? Not a charity. A business so you can go on the road and help more and more people. But if you're thinking from that position, there are different parts of your brain that are working there, right? But if you think about what comes natural to me, what do people tell me I'm good at, what is common sense to me, who do I really want to work with? One of the things I ask people is, if you were, in your favorite place, for me it would be Tuscany. If I was in Tuscany, and it was just about sunset, and I was there with a small group of about 10 people having a glass of wine and chatting, who would they be? For me, it would be entrepreneurs. You know, for you, it may be something else. Who are the people you really want to connect with? Who would be that great target market for you? Another story about what comes natural to you is years ago, before I even was working for Harv, I had a career in television. So I was hosting shows, I was in some of the TVs and movies, and I was producing. And I wanted to get into this #1 school, right? Learn from the best if you're going to learn something, right? So it was RADA in England or NIDA. In Australia, they share the same teaching methods. So I wanted to go to Australia. I thought it would be just cooler, warmer to go there. They accept 1 Canadian a year and 1 American. The American they accepted in my year was a graduate of Juilliard already. And I had been like the frog in the school play. I had to learn 3 monologues, and 2 of them had to be Shakespeare, which I had never done before, right? So I hired an acting coach for a weekend to cram before I had to go in and audition against like 50,000 people. And it was like American Idol, where you go and you do your first monologue in front of everybody else that's auditioning, which is scary as hell. And people are doing some of the same monologues because you had to choose from a book. And then you have a panel of 3 judges. And then you go into the green room. And if your name is called, you go on to your next one. If you're not, you go home. So you have like 1 chance, and then you come back, you have a 2nd chance, and then you have the 3rd chance. So I was trying to pick these monologues, right? And so I picked 3 that I did. And 2, I really felt like I was like really working and really being an actor and, you know, really applying myself. And the 3rd one, it was just easy. I just understood where the character was coming from, and I got it, right? So I didn't have to do too much. I basically went up there and just felt like them and did it. And my acting coach said to me, Stephanie, for your first one, because you got to get the first one right, go with this one. It was the 3rd one. It was the one that came natural to me. I said, but I'm not acting. I'm just, you know, I put so much work into these ones. I want to do these ones. And he said, well, let me ask you something. This is a question I have never forgotten. He said, let me ask you something, Stephanie. So just because something comes natural to you, does that mean it has no value? Just because something comes natural to you, does that mean it has no value? Right? And we do that subconsciously, don't we? So please stop doing that, okay? Because that could be your inner genius. And the first one about you are not your job, look at your whole self. You know, this is really, really key and really important. And I learned this lesson early on. As after this, I got accepted into school. Sam Worthington was actually in my class, you know, from Avatar. And it's like 12 people in a class. It was really cool. And I loved it. And then I came back to Vancouver, which seemed like a big city to me at the time. And I moved there, and I ended up doing some TV series. So I did some TV series where I got to travel around the world, did a dive television show. And then at the end of that, actually my partner took off with everything. The money, everything. It was devastating. It was a big, big betrayal. But what I learned early on was a couple of things, 2 lessons. The first one was actually when I made the TV deal the first time on a cell phone in a car. And I didn't know what I was even negotiating for, because I had no idea. It was brand new, right? And the producer, the network producer said, well, you're probably going to want commercial time in your deal. And I said, absolutely. I'm not doing this deal unless I get commercial time. And I'm like, what the hell is commercial time? Right? But it turned out that I got a time of commercials that I could sell to people. So I cold called people. It was a dive television series. So I went to a manufacturer's, it was called DEMA convention in New Orleans, looked up people who sold dive equipment, right? And sold them on the phone that I would write, create, and produce their commercial. Now, I had never done that before in my life, but I'd watched commercials. And it's 30 seconds. How hard can it be, right? Sometimes it's good to be blissfully ignorant, okay? It's only when you get older and then you're like, oh my God, I would be so terrified I wouldn't have made the move. So remember that, right, when you're back there. So I was in my 20s, then I show up at the convention to get the money, get the checks, right, and their credit cards and all that stuff. And the funny thing is that the people looked shell-shocked when this young blonde woman came up to get money from them. They're like, holy crap. So I had to take them out for some New Orleans drinks just to calm them down. Then it was all fine. And their commercials went well. So I learned my first lesson in sales. If people trust you, they're going to trust your products and what you're going to do for them. Make sense? Yeah. So they knew that I was going to do everything in my power to make sure that it was an incredible commercial. And I did. Second thing I learned when I had this devastation thing that happened with my partner, I was flying around the world, I was having a great time. I was always humbled that I was on TV. I just thought it was the greatest gift in the world to travel. I think it's one of the best educations you can do. It was pretty amazing. And I went from that to getting steady checks to when that got pulled, even though I had everything signed, I had contracts signed, I suddenly had no money, right? And I had to go work at the mall for a few weeks, right, just to get money back. But what I learned from that experience is that every time I shook someone's hand, I said, hi, I'm Stephanie Hartman, the host and co-producer of Aquaplanet. Hi, I'm Stephanie Hartman, the host and co-producer of Aquaplanet. I didn't even realize, but I had associated myself with that job so much, that became my identity. Only when I lost that, it took me about 3 years, truthfully, emotionally, to get over it, 1 year to get over it. And I started working for Harv and helping him with media and then marketing and his whole strategy of his business. So it was a blessing in disguise. But I learned from that point on to look at what I did and what are the lessons and the knowledge that I learned through that business that I could bring forward in other businesses. So what did Stephanie learn that I could step into anything that I wanted to? So that's why you are not your job. And the other thing, too, is when you're creating your products, don't be too attached to the name or what's in it, so that people like me or Peter or other people can look at you and go, if we just tweak this slightly, boom, it'll take off for you, right? Does that make sense? Okay. So how can I call myself an expert? And I get this a lot. And, the truth is, once you start putting together products, then you're out there selling it, you'll be like terrified the first time, and then you'll see people buying it, and then they'll come up to you and going, oh, that was so amazing. Thank you so much for putting that together. That's when you'll really start to feel, okay, really great about it. But I can tell you that I've worked with a lot of the seasoned people, and even the Oprah show guest was terrified when she was doing a launch. And then 5 minutes later, she's excited, right? Because you see things happen. So Malcolm Gladwell wrote this book called Blank. How many people have read it? Yeah. And he actually wrote about thin slicing, and it's about how quickly, literally in the blink of an eye, when you've immersed yourself in it steady, you can you become an expert and you can know things. So he gave this example with the Getty Museum. This is a true story. The Getty Museum bought a marble statue for millions of dollars. And they did this quick test to see if it was real or fake. And the initial test came back that it was a real artifact. Well, the curator of the museum was just so excited, so he brought in these two experts. One was a female, one was a male, and they're an expert in artifacts and I think Greek and Roman history. And in 2 seconds, he was so proud of this huge statue that they wrote this big multi-million-dollar check for. They revealed it, and in a blink of an eye, both the female and the male instinctually knew it was a fake. But they had no information to give him that, well, it's a fake because of this. Look at the arm. They had none of that. And they got that information different ways, okay? One of them felt it in the gut. It was just like, ooh, that's not good, right? The other one actually heard a voice and said, it's fake. Like just heard it in his head, fake, right? So you may get this information with your expertise and your intuition, some people call it, right? But it's probably have that intuition because a big part of it is because you've been studying it or observing it and doing it for years, okay? And I can't spot a fake piece of art or, something that a 2-year-old did than a famous modern artist. I can't figure out the difference, right? But I can tell a presentation that's going to do well or not, a person that's going to do well or not, a marketing strategy is going to do well or not, and sometimes I don't know why, right? Also, when I'm speaking to people, sometimes I do these 15-minute consultations. I had a woman come up to me, and she's like, she goes, I only have 15 minutes, I want to talk to you. I can't figure out my target market. I can't figure out my core product. And she's telling me, this is what I think I should do. This is what I'm thinking I should do. But I've been trying to figure this out for 3 years. And I've been paralyzed, stopping, not doing anything because of that. I asked her a couple of questions. I listened to her answers, but I also kind of read between the lines. And I don't know exactly how I'm doing that, but I read between the lines and I said, you never mentioned this. But here's what I think you should do. Here's what I think your target market is. And here's what I think your core product should be. And she started crying. Because I say, when you speak the truth, people hear the truth. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, and I said, you're going to know if it's right for you or not, because you're going to feel it or you're going to hear it or something. She said, oh my God. She says, I can't believe you said that, because I've been secretly wanting to do that, but because I want it so much, I've been so scared about it. Make sense? Yeah. So you may have an expertise, right, that comes natural to you through your experience, and that's really a lot of where your inner genius lies. Okay. So, this is Sally. Now, this is the one area where you're going to be really excited if you have a big back end. Okay? So you can say to them, I have a big back end. Your back end is really where, so I put that picture up there, so she's excited. Your back end is like your products, your services. It's the business behind your core message. It's the business behind your book. Make sense? Now, people talk about the funnel. Peter mentioned it. And this is a lot of what's in the funnel. You have lead generating products, that's free or low cost products to kind of tease people, to give them bite-sized pieces of your information. You've got a core product, which is, by the way, your main message. It's what the media is going to know you as. It's what everyone's going to know you as, and everything else kind of stems from there. And then you have upsells, which could be events, could be anything. And then I always want people to create a continuity program. Continuity program is something that we create together that gives you monthly money, because I love that automated monthly money. And I've got some examples of ways that are almost no work to do this. So if you're interested in that, talk to me afterwards. Create it once and it gives you money. Now, one of the things that I do is a little bit differently. Okay? And you might want to write this down. First of all, there's not one way to build your business. Okay? Makes sense? Yes. Okay. The truth is, you don't have to have everything in your funnel. Okay? The other thing that I'll tell you where to start in a second. The other thing that I tell my clients is, let's build your business based on your personality and your strengths, your skills and your personality. Because I think it just makes sense to me that that'll be a more exciting business. You'll be excited getting up in the morning and doing it, and it'll come more naturally to you, so it'll feel really easy, right? So that's important in my mind to do. The other thing is, don't give away too much for free. Again, this is just my opinion, okay? Don't give away too much for free. The reason everyone's talking about free products, free products, free products, the reason I say that is because I've seen this with clients, I've seen this with seasoned people, is that what happens when you give things for free all the time? You end up, deflates your value, but you end up with a database full of freeloaders. Makes sense, right? Yeah. And then what happens if then you have the gall to send out an email or a telephone or whatever that you sell a product on? They can get nasty and mad at you because they think, well, wait a minute, you're my go-to gal where I get all my free information for. You're my, free guy that I get all the information for. And yet they're going to go and spend thousands of dollars with the guy next to you that doesn't have as much credibility or experience or great information as you do. Okay? So that's just part of my advice is don't give away too much for free. In fact, one of the best places to start, which is the only place that I start with my clients, is at your core product. Even if you don't have a book. Okay? So whether you have a book first or a book after, it doesn't matter, okay? To me, but it's because when I figure out what is the core product, what is the core essence of what you teach, and then what are the best clients, what are the target markets, what are the sub-target markets, okay, where are we going to go first? Everything stems from there, because then I understand it. We figure out, we tie it to your inner genius, right? And you may have more than one inner genius, which is great. So we tie that together, we create it around your personality and your strengths, and then we build the product line that suits you. And then you can work up with the other things in the product line. Then you can have something at the front end, then we go into, usually I teach people the grad program, which may be a continuity program of what's the next step. But then you can figure out what your upsells are, because then once you have the core product, you can say, okay, what do I teach? Maybe I teach 7 or 8 things in my core product, and it doesn't matter if it's a seminar or an online program or a membership program. It doesn't matter the packaging, okay? Just figure out what the core product is. Then you know exactly who you're talking to. Then it's easier for you to write your book. Then we know what your branding is going to be. Then we can say, okay, what if we pick area number 3 and people want to master that? Then we'll create a program around that we upsell, or a weekend, or a resort, something like that. Makes sense? That's the first place to start. And so that's why I say design your core products and core concept first. The other thing that I do that's a little bit differently in my product funnel is I ask people, what is something fun that you love to do, but you don't have the time or the money or the energy to do it? Or maybe you do it, but not very often, you want to do it more and more, okay? I get a lot of entrepreneurs that come up to me and say, oh, I love to travel, or I love to do this, or I love cruises, or I love spas, but once I get my business, then I can go and do those things, right? Have you ever heard that or said that? Yeah. Well, what I like to do is figure out what that fun thing is, and then let's insert it into your product funnel, right? So that you make it legitimate, because you're making money at it, and it's really exciting. I had one of my clients was a parenting expert, and she works with moms, and she loves spas. So we created this upsell where she's going to do, women go together to the different spas around the world and stuff. So it's really great. You can do shopping trips, you can go travel to exotic places around the world, things like that. So core product is the most important thing. Once you learn this, then you'll actually feel like you know how to print money. When I asked this question to one of my clients, and then became a colleague and a friend of mine, so now he gets information for free, Gary de Rodriguez, I asked him this question because he was working so hard, and so we were putting things together to help him stop trading his time for money. He had this great expertise. And then I asked him, Gary, what's something really fun? Like, where would you love to go? Like, what's a location or a place or something you'd like to do? He says, well, I really love spiritual teachers around the world, and I want to go meet with them, and I'd just really like to talk to really unique, interesting people. And so I said, okay, well, I have some ideas how we can incorporate that in your business, but I want to hear from you tomorrow, so just go and think about it. Shut your brain off, go and think about it. So he came up with the idea. You want to know how he made $54,000 in the shower? Yeah. No adult content? All right, well, what he did is when I planted that seed, he came up and said, I got it. I'm going to create a mastermind group where each month I'm going to teach them something by phone, 1 hour of his time. And then at the end of the year, we're going to go someplace really cool. So we're going to go to Belize or Mexico or Hawaii or Tuscany or Fiji, and he goes to a spiritual leader that's there. And you get to do really cool things and learn from there. So he immediately went to his computer. Instead of saying, this is what I'm thinking about doing, right? You don't want to write that, because I believe when you've created it here, it exists. It's real. The packaging of it just is part of the process later. I learned this in TV. It's the same thing. You come up with an idea for a show, you sell it to the network, and then you put it together, and then months later, or a year later, you actually see it on TV. But it's not real when it's on TV. It's real when you come up with it, right? So this is what I'm going to do. He didn't have a big list. I think he had like 2,000 people on it. He didn't have a website. He just sent out an email. He didn't even have a shopping cart hooked up at that time. He sent out an email and he said, this is what I'm going to do this year. I'm going to have a mastermind group. We're going to be talking about a few of these subjects. He didn't even go into detail what he's going to talk about. And he said, if you're interested, email me back, right? He got 12 students at $4,500. Now he's raised it since then because I said it was too cheap. $4,500. And he did that in a day in the emails, right? Okay. This is an example of making money in 30 or 60 days. This is a guy that had no time, right? He worked a full-time job. He was a veterinarian. He had no content, right? But he had knowledge, right, and expertise. He had a small list. So he took a $27 ebook, turned it into $60,000 in 30 days, and then that turned into $172,000 in repeatable annual income. You want to know how he did it? Yes. Okay. This is what he did. He first took the content of his ebook, added a few more things, and made it a CD product for $297. And this is not brain surgery topic. It was home remedies for cats and dogs. Then he did something that's called reverse marketing, where he just put out a simple survey. You can use surveymonkey.com. It's a free tool, where, and it analyzes it all for you, of what do you want to learn? What is your biggest question about cats and dogs? And he found out at the time, this is when they had the big pet food recall. I don't know if you remember. Yeah, and so people were looking, they're feeding people, their dogs, food, and their animals were getting sick. So then they started looking for, you know, what are some pet foods that I can make myself? So he put that into his content, right? So he let his list tell him what they wanted in the content. Then he put out a second survey through SurveyMonkey and said, do you have any concerns, right? And someone came back and said, well, is it recorded because, you know, I work and I want to make sure that I'm there and I'm on all the calls. How does it work? So then he was able to put out an email and say, by the way, this is recorded and all of that, right? And what was he doing during this time when he was talking to his list? Anyone have an idea? Just shout it out if you know.
Put it together.
Yeah, he put it together, but he was also creating buzz and anticipation, but in a very authentic way. Make sense? Yeah. He built the teleclass to sell it, and you can use the structure that I teach to do that. He took the CD and turned it into a coaching program at $49 a month. Did he have the coaching program yet? No. But he upsold it, right? And if you do upsell or pre-sell something, just make sure so you don't get in legal trouble that you actually deliver it, okay? But a lot of people do that. And that's what he did. Okay. This is one that's actually a friend of mine, and it is a case study, and it's called Poaching Teens for Cash. If you're stuck on an idea, sometimes someone else has a really good idea. This is actually a friend of mine, and the first time I did this presentation, I hadn't met him, and this is Frank Sousa, who created the Traffic Geyser with Mike Konings. So it's so funny. So he came up with this product. He made $37,000 in just 24 days, and his investment was $300. You want to know how he did that? Okay. Well, his son was playing on the computer and looking at Google at the time and reading through how to make your site #1 on Google and what all the rules and technical stuff, right? And he thought, okay, this information is out there already, but if I can save someone time or money, right, then it's valuable. So he went to a site, and there's a couple of them out there. There's elance.com or there's rentacoder.com, and you put up a bid for a project. And he said, I want to create a program, a software that actually follows the Google rules to get your site to #1. And I want to make it automated for people. And people were bidding, so instead of trying to find the right person and begging for them, people were bidding on the project. So they said, and he said, I want to do it for a couple $100. So they came up with one for $300. And he looked at the guy's references, looked at what he did, said, this is great. So in 48 hours, he actually got the program done. Then he was looking at it and said, you know, it doesn't look too pretty, let's work on that. And now that I'm thinking about it, I want to add this. In 7 days, he had it completed. Oops, It's the other way. Okay. In 7 days, he had it completed. And then he went to JV Partners because he had no list at the time. This is pre-Traffic Guys. He had no list at the time. He said, hey, I've got a great product that gets #1 on Google. You know, would this be great for your list to talk to? And they said, yes, I want to do that. And that's how he made $37,000. And since then, he went, so he had 0 list, right? 0 product. And since then, he created the Traffic Geyser, which, you know, made 7 figures in 1 month. So it's pretty cool. All right. Okay.
What's the name of the dating website?
Rentacoder.com or Elance.
What's the word before that?
Elance. Elance. L-A-N-C-E. Okay. So I love this case study. I don't know why. This is one of my favorites. It's very educational. And thank you, David, for lending me your photo again. Appreciate it. All right. This is a guy that he's a fitness trainer, just average Joe fitness trainer at one of the fitness clubs. Okay? He had expertise, right? But he lacked confidence in putting his own product together because he's like, I'm just a trainer, you know, what makes me different? So he wasn't there yet, right? He lacked a little bit of confidence. So he thought he didn't have expertise, he didn't have content or a list. Not true. So he got 9,000 subscribers and $40,000 in 30 days. Plus, he never paid for the content that got created, and he never paid the promoters to promote his product. You want to know how he did that? Okay. Step 1, he created a free teleclass. Okay? So you create a free teleclass that you're going to teach, right? And what he did is because he didn't have content, he actually went to the fitness magazines and he looked for experts on weight loss. So nutrition, everything around weight loss, right? He contacted them all. 8 people said, yes, I'd like to be interviewed by you and do the teleclass from you. So he ended up making an 8-week teleclass course, right? Because he had 8 interviews. So every week he would have 1 new interview. And the cool thing about that is that those people who are the experts provided the content. They gave him the question, so he just had to show up and ask, and then they sold product at the end, so he didn't even have to sweat that, right? Then he created an invitation that went out to, and he wrote it from each expert, right? And he said, would you send this to your list? So each of the experts sent out this teleclass that said, hey, by the way, I'm part of this 8-week free teleclass. It's on weight loss, how to lose weight in 30 days, and it's normally $97, but for my list, my people, you get in free. Plus, here are these other 7 experts, so everyone sent that out. So when they just signed up on his site to listen to the free teleclass, whether or not they showed up or not, whether or not they bought or not, he grew his list by 10,000. Okay? So then he upsold on the thank you page when you sign up. He said, thank you so much. We'll send you the dates and times and the phone number for the call. By the way, all these calls are going to be recorded. So if you want to listen to them again, because you're going to get great info, or if you're going to miss one of the calls, for $97, you get the whole interview series. He made $35,000 from that. He hasn't even done the first interview. Cool? Yeah. All right. He became an affiliate. He signed up as an affiliate for each of the speakers' products. And he made about $5,000, and the money came in over the 8 weeks from that. Optional step is you repackage this, right? And you create the whole product. You make it instead of a free thing. Now you've actually got an 8-week program that you can sell. Rinse and repeat. Just do it again. And here's a thank you page tip, right? Next time he did it, he actually added an ebook on it as well as the recordings, and he sold that, and he made $47,000. Got it written down? Okay. Right. So the biggest thing that I want you to know is because I've been doing this for over a decade, I really know, because I've seen it firsthand and I've worked with people firsthand, that there's a huge advantage when you get the right information, right? You get kind of the insider knowledge about how things work. When you show up at a seminar, right, there are all these things happening that you're not even aware of, right? But if you were aware of them, it can make a dramatic difference in your business. Marketing strategy, how to build your business the right way, how to build it in a way that is built on your strengths and personality and, and fits you, is customized for you. And you simply follow what works. And you can beat out Dr. Phil and Dan Brown. I had a client call me and say, Steph, I've got a book. I'm a self-published author. He's unknown because he was a self-published author. He says, I want to become a bestseller in 6 weeks. Can you do it? Right? I'm like, oh my, please don't call me and say that. Give me a little bit more time if you do. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, so I did. So we got the formula and we just did it, methodically did it. In 6 weeks, he became #1 on Amazon, okay? Bestseller status. He was unknown. This was his first book, right? He had no press. He had no publicity. He had nothing. And he beat Dr. Phil, who has his own TV show. And that was when the Da Vinci Code got out, right? Huge book. So he got his bestseller status. And then I said to him, now Ken, now you've got the bestseller status, you've got that sticker, which is really great for press and credibility. Said, do you want to make more money? He said, yes. Okay, so if that's your goal, then let's switch the sales page from going to Amazon to your website, right? Because then he made 100% of the profit. So we did, right? So it all depends on your goals. So the truth is you can really triple your income guaranteed if you know strategy. And that's very important. Robert Allen had made a $25 million mistake. And I can say this because he gave me permission to say it. Robert Allen, The Multiple Streams of Income. His first book was called his second book was called Dismal Publishing Failure. Okay? Yet, that was one of his most successful books, and I'll tell you why. Okay? His first book was Nothing Down, and he went around to hotels, and for a year, and you see him on TV, come to this hotel, and you can come to my seminar, and all of that, right? So that's expensive, and takes a long time to do. And then what he did is he hired a PR person, which is, they're so valuable, but they're not always inexpensive, right? It can be a costly thing. He ended up selling 1 million books, but it took a lot of time and a lot of money to do it. His second book, that was a dismal publishing failure, his words, he sold a few thousand copies, but in that book, he upsold products and services. He had 15 different reasons to go to his site. Take my quiz, see this video, read the whole story, here's the chapter I didn't make it in the book. Created this list, and he sold a $5,000 program. The program, by the way, is the exact same materials in the book. But it's experiential for people, right? So it was a big deal for people to come and meet him and spend 3 days with him. And don't you think it's more powerful if you can actually do something and do the topic for 3 days rather than read it in a book, right? You'll walk away with a lot more. So that's what he did. He sold 5,000 of his $5,000 products, and that's $25 million from his dismal publishing failure. Another client of mine, she wrote a book on toasts, self-published author. Not the bread, but when you clink at a party. She wanted to get this out quickly. So I said, okay, so who else is your target market? Who else is going after your target market that's already known, that already has media, that already has distribution power? We thought of sparkling wine companies or champagne, right? She wrote a letter, she contacted people, took a few months. She got someone to say yes. And she said, hey, I've got this book on toast. I think it'd be great to sell with your product. It's like a marketing incentive marketing program. And they said, love the idea. So they did this promotion that if you buy 2 bottles of champagne, you get her book for free. So they bought thousands of copies of her book. They created posters. They created commercials. Did she pay for all of that? Did she pay for the drivers that drove the bottles out to the stores? Did she pay for the stock boy to stock it on the shelves? No, she paid for none of that. See how you can just be just a small tweak and knowledge can create a huge difference in your business. Make sense? Yeah. So what I did is, after working with these guys, these big guys, for many, many years and helping them grow their business, I decided, I had the privilege of working behind the scenes, secretly in some cases, not secretly in other cases, really seeing how this business works. And I thought, if people could know this and learn this, it could really change their life, and it could change families, right? Whether it's an extra few $1,000s a month, or it's $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000 a month, it can make a huge difference in your life. So it took me a year, and I thought about, okay, what is it exactly that I do with people, and what are the steps? And I created this program, and I created 7 sections. So there's 7 modules. So the first one is build your expertise. So we build your business, okay? You can choose your revenue model. Remember the funnel I said, we'll make it customized for you. Create, brand, and position your products. Logistics, all the little stuff that you need to know, right? Including even the teleseminar structure, you'll get that, and sales logistics, and virtual business logistics, what you need to set up, how do you get an 800 number, all that stuff, shopping cart, all that kind of stuff. Strategic marketing methods, I have 2 full modules on that, because it's really like a buffet of marketing strategies. So pick the ones that excite you. Speakers and seminar secrets. This is not how to be an amazing speaker. This is from a marketing, well, I'll show you a little bit about that, but it's not the stage presence. It's really the how to sell authentically, what to do at the back of the room, how to get people in on time, all those kind of secrets, how to decide what your presentation should be, what are the minutes, like what do I create in it, so all of that, you build your platform, and then media and massive exposure training, okay, so this is some from the marketing point of view of the angles, all that stuff. And by the way, I bring in expert instructors in certain areas. I bring an expert on SEO, I bring an expert on podcasting, bring some experts in on media. Howard Behar is actually in there that talks about joint ventures, how that helped build his business. And I give you a section that's tried and true resources. Because resources these are the people that I use, my graphic people, my web people, the people and the resources and the systems that I use or my well-known clients have used for years. Right? And this can make a big difference in your business. Then you don't have to run around and try to find people. And I've had people take the course just for that, because it saves you on time and money. So you get a focus plan and goals, right? You know exactly where you're going. You get a strategic revenue plan for your product line. We get a strategic plan for selling and marketing. You get proven action steps so you know what to do next. Okay? Because I think that's really important. So when you do this, then the next step for you is to do that. We talk about how to profitably position you, well, that's hard to say, in the world, so that you're the only one who does this. Make sense? We design a business around you. I think that's really important. Let's build it customized for you. And I also have progress tracking, is because with each module I teach, I have a short exam that you take yourself. And I get emailed a copy of your results, and you get emailed a copy of your results. And if you get the majority of the questions right, you go to the next step. If you don't, it tells you which ones you got wrong and why. The reason I put that in there is because I didn't want you to skip all the way to the module you really want to get, because I want to make sure we build your business, right? You don't miss anything. I'd rather you fail here in the safe environment than go out and think I mean something else and lose money. Does that make sense? Yeah, so that's why I created that. Okay, can I just share with you one thing that I'm super excited about and I'm just working about? Okay, I'm always looking for new internet trends, strategies, or marketing strategies, right, that help you. And one of them that has come up has been mobile marketing, okay? And I was watching this, and I was looking at it to see, is this just gonna be hype and then it's gonna go away, right? Because I've never climb right on board. I wanna see if it's working. Well, what's amazing, again, no coincidence, right? There are so many people buying apps. There's 5.9 billion mobile subscribers. Did you know that? That's insane. 5.9 billion mobile subscribers on the internet. And today, actually, Scott, they announced that they had 25 billion downloads. Isn't that amazing? Of apps. And there's a website, we could actually see it happening. So it's a huge phenomenon because what happened is last year in March, they had about 3 billion apps sold. And then 2 months later, they had like 9 billion apps sold. So the apps is really going crazy here. So what I did is I got together with the technical guy and we created the first smart apps. These are apps that market for you. They market your products and services to mobile subscribers. That is probably 100% of the market that you're currently missing right now. Your ebooks, your books, whatever it is. So we created that. So I have a really short video that I want to show you, and I'll tell you why right afterwards.
Something really interesting is happening on mobile phones. They're not mirroring desktops or laptop PCs in that people are not spending their time searching. They're not doing searching anywhere near as much as they do on PCs. We've got all the data. We know this. They're spending their time in apps. So for whatever reason, if people want to find out that restaurant to go to, they're not going to their search engine and typing in Japanese in Palo Alto. They're going to Yelp or whatever other app they want to go to find out if their airplane's on time or this or that or this or that.
Right.
And I don't know why it's different than on PCs. I think I do, but I'm not sure. I think it's because there never was one place with 200,000 apps where a ton of them were free and the rest of them were really inexpensive for PCs. I think this app thing's an entirely new phenomenon in my lifetime and your lifetime. So I think people are using apps, well, we know they are using apps way more than they're using search.
That cool? People can actually buy your products and services without pulling out a credit card with the tap of a button. So what we created was what we're calling smart apps. They're the first apps on the market that market your products and services. So cool. We've created two. One's called a Me app, one's called a Profit app. If you want to ask me about it, I'll talk at the end because I'm running out of time a little bit here. But I just want to tell you briefly. The Me app is basically the universe of you. This ties in all your websites, all your social media, where you are, what products and services you have, what consulting you do, all of that into one place. So you never have to give out your business card, things like that. People will download this app for free. They'll have it on their iPad, they'll have it on their phone, and they can just tap on it, and it'll automatically update your audios, your videos, your Twitter feeds, all this stuff in there. You can talk to people, you can sell to people, you create a relationship with people through this app. And every time you send out a new tweet or a new video or a new comment to them or email, you can send video emails to them in this app. What will happen, you can vote for saying I'm launching a new book, vote for the title of my book, or I'm actually going to be in this area. You know, if you tweet this, then I'm going to go and do a book promotion here, I'll give you something free, or come see me. It's super cool. If you do teleseminars or websites, you can put up those dates on a calendar. They can sign up for it right there. So it's really amazing. And every time you put something new in this app, automatically through you write something in your blog, it pings them and it goes something new and they go download it. The second one is the iProfit app. The iProfit app is, I came up with that idea because of what Steve Jobs said. People are searching for you for your topic. If you come up with, as an example, the 10 frequently asked questions in your area, you can create one app for that people will pay you for, like 99 cents or $1.99 for that app to get the answer. How to something, right? I'm going to create an app that says how to make, I'm working on it right now, how to become an Amazon bestseller in 6 weeks. Here's your answer, step 1, step 2, step 3. And in step 4, you actually get, I'm going to say, you know, getting number 1 is important, but what's more important is create the back-end strategy, get my ebook, come to my course, all of that. What's so great is the relationship marketing that I teach is you want to build a relationship with people. So we're going to answer questions in text form, then audio form, and video form. Because I think if they see your face, they hear your voice, they're going to know if you're right for them. So I just wanted to let you know about that. Thank you so much, everybody. And I'll talk to you in the back if you're interested.